Boeing. For decades, that name was the gold standard for American engineering, a real titan. But lately, well, it's become a symbol for corporate crisis. So today, we're not just looking at the headlines. No, we are opening up the case file. This is a financial investigation into how an icon of industry could fall so far, so fast. Let's dig in.
And that really is the central question, isn't it? I mean, how does a company that helped put us on the moon seemingly forget how to build an airplane? It's a pretty scary thought, and it's exactly what our investigation is going to uncover.
Our investigation kicks off on a cold night in January 2024. An Alaska Airlines flight, a brand new Boeing 737 MAX, is taking off, and then, suddenly, chaos. A piece of the fuselage just blows out, leaving a gaping hole in the side of the plane. You've all seen the videos. This terrifying moment wasn't just a freak accident. It was a symptom of a much deeper problem brewing inside Boeing for years.
And here it is, our first major piece of evidence in the case. The official report was almost unbelievably simple. 4 crucial bolts were just missing. This wasn't some complicated material science failure. It was a basic, fundamental mistake on the assembly line. That single, simple error tells you almost everything you need to know. But to really understand how it could happen, we need to wind the clock back, way back.
See, the cracks in Boeing's foundation didn't just show up overnight. Our investigation reveals they were put there on purpose, almost 3 decades ago. It all goes back to a single corporate decision in 1997 that would literally change the course of aviation history forever. Let's see how this whole thing started to come apart.
To really get what was lost, you first have to understand the old Boeing. The Boeing that built this, the 747, the queen of the skies. This wasn't just a machine. It was a cathedral to engineering, built by a legendary team they called the Incredibles. This was a company where the engineers were basically rock stars, and quality was the only thing that mattered.
And this slide right here, this is where we find the origin of the problem. In 1997, you had this massive culture clash. On one side, you have Boeing, run by brilliant, sometimes wild engineers. On the other, you have McDonnell Douglas, a company run by finance guys absolutely obsessed with pinching pennies. Now, on paper, Boeing bought McDonnell Douglas, but as our investigation shows, it was really the other way around. It was a reverse takeover of Boeing's entire culture. And if you're looking for the smoking gun in this whole investigation, well, here it is. This is a direct quote from Harry Stonesifer, the McDonnell Douglas CEO who became Boeing's new boss. He said the quiet part out loud. The whole point was to run Boeing like a business rather than a great engineering firm. This wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate strategy, a hostile takeover of the company's DNA. And if you need a physical symbol of this new reality, look no further. In 2001, Boeing literally ripped its headquarters out of Seattle, the heart and soul of its engineering world, and plopped it down 1,000 miles away in Chicago. The message couldn't have been any clearer. The executives in the suits were now officially disconnected from the people on the factory floor with the wrenches. Okay, so with the finance guys firmly in charge, a new era began. An era of really high-stakes gambling. So now, our investigation is going to follow the money. And this trail, it leads to a whole series of disastrous bets that would cost Boeing billions of dollars and its reputation. So what was the new management's weapon of choice? Something called the fixed price contract. Basically, it's like telling a contractor you'll pay them one flat price to build your house. If they run into unexpected problems, bad weather, rotten wood, anything, too bad. It's on them. In aerospace, where unexpected problems are basically guaranteed, this was an absolute recipe for disaster. And the results? They were beyond catastrophic. Take the KC-46 Air Force tanker. This one program, has cost Boeing more than $7 billion out of its own pocket. Just let that sink in. $7 billion. Even the current CEO admits it was a bad contract for the last decade. Yeah, you think? It was a financial nightmare that started with one of these reckless lowball bids. And believe me, this was not a one-time mistake. Oh no. Look at the Starliner space capsule, Boeing's big answer to SpaceX. Another fixed-price contract, another financial black hole. Boeing has had to eat $2 billion in cost overruns on a program that is still having major problems. You starting to see a pattern here?
I mean, when you lay out all the evidence like this, the picture is just, it's brutal. Over $7 billion on the tanker, $2 billion on Starliner,
more than $3 billion on the new Air Force One program, and another billion on a drone. This wasn't just a string of bad luck. This was a systemic failure, a direct result of a strategy that always chose a short-term win over long-term stability. But now, this is where our investigation takes a truly bizarre and ironic twist. This obsession with cost-cutting, it didn't just stay on the military side of the business. It spread like a virus to their commercial airplanes, leading to one of the most expensive and frankly embarrassing blunders in corporate history. And it all centers around a company called Spirit AeroSystems. Just follow the timeline here, it's wild. Back in 2005, to slash costs, Boeing sells off one of its most important factories, the one in Wichita that builds the body of its cash cow, the 737. This new, separate company is called Spirit AeroSystems. Okay, now fast forward a bit. Spirit-made parts are now at the center of Boeing's absolute worst quality nightmares. So what's Boeing's brilliant solution in 2025? They spend $4.7 billion to buy back the exact same factory they got rid of 2 decades ago. You have to just stop and appreciate the irony. They spent nearly $5 billion to fix a problem that they themselves created, just to save a little money in the short term. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. They literally had to buy back their own past to have any hope of fixing their future. All right, so that brings our investigation right up to today. After all of this decline, all these mistakes, is real change finally happening? There's new leadership, and there are some positive signs, for sure. But as we're about to see, this case is very, very far from closed. Now, if you just look at the surface, things are starting to look up. In 2025, Boeing delivered 600 planes. That's a 7-year high. And here's a big one. For the first time since 2018, they actually sold more planes than their arch-rival Airbus. So the market seems to be betting on a comeback story. But hold on, let's not close the case file just yet. The FAA is still limiting how many 737s they can even build. Their big new planes are stuck in certification limbo. A brand new engine problem has just popped up, and NASA is clearly losing patience with Starliner. So yeah, the turnaround is looking pretty fragile. The new CEO, Kelly Orberg, he's saying all the right things. He's talking about culture, safety, integrity, all the words that got thrown out the window back in 1997. But after everything we've uncovered in this investigation, you gotta ask, is this real, meaningful change, or is it just a good PR campaign? And that right there is the real takeaway from this whole case. Boeing is spending billions of dollars to fix its factories and its supply chain. But you know what? That's the easy part. The real damage, the deep damage, was done to its culture, its identity, its soul. And that leaves you with one final question. Can you even put a price on fixing that? Now you think about it.